Alright, so how is everybody going? Today I'm going to have a bit of a different video for you guys. And my hair is quite messy. Got my milkshake. Spider-Man. So, I'm going to do an attempt at a review for you guys. We'll see how it goes. If you like it, please go ahead and tell me what you like in the comments. Feel free to leave a like. If you don't like it, please, again, tell me what you didn't like in the comments, what I should improve upon, things like that. So let's get started. The first half of this vlog review is going to be without any spoilers, and the second half will be with spoilers. Don't worry, I'll let you guys know when the spoilers will come. I'll also put some timestamps down below in the description. This Spider-Man rendition is completely different from what we have seen before. So there are no references to the Daily Bugle in this Spider-Man movie. It doesn't exist in his timeline yet, if it does at all. Basically, I mean, we know that there are Avengers in this movie. We know that Peter Parker is still in school, a lot younger. He's very excited, sort of in the epitome of a college intern, basically. So it's a really good movie. Now, the 3D was not quite as good as I had expected it to be, which is, I think, the first time that I would have not really cared to see the 3D version of the movie. Still, I mean, Spider-Man, the web slinging, there were some good 3D parts, but I think they could have done a lot better with the fact that it is a Spider-Man movie. Now, in IMAX, the little IMAX countdown thing, yeah, they have a special Spider-Man countdown for this movie. In addition, there are two post-credit scenes, one after the theatrical credits and one after the actual credits completely end. Pretty funny. The second one is, as of how the Marvel movies have been going, more of a comedic one, and the first one is more of continuing the timeline, introducing what we will be seeing in the next movie because, quote, Spider-Man will return. Some other little things. We do see MJ in this movie. Actually, that did not register in my head until my boy Matt, aka DJ MJ, told me. It just didn't click with me at all. Because, well, okay, no, I'm gonna wait for that for the spoiler section. But there are a few little Hollywood cliches that I didn't really like too much. You know, the sort of hero saving the girl ending up with the guy, and being a Spider-Man movie, obviously the girl gets, you know, dropped and Spider-Man saves her with the web and all that. Other than that, there weren't too many cliches, except what was really cool is that, and this was very unique aspect to implement into the movie, was Iron Man being the sort of mentor to Spider-Man. Tony Stark goes through sort of memories of his father and how his father didn't really talk to him, or, no, don't worry, there aren't any scenes from Iron Man movies or of Iron Man's past in the movie. He just talks about it. His dad wasn't really much of a mentor to him, and it reflects in the Tony Stark character. However, you do see a little bit of change throughout the movie of Tony Stark recognizing Peter Parker's abilities. Because, of course, from the trailer we see he sort of is restricted to being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Vulture is the villain for this movie. Very interesting backstory. I really like what they did with the stories. This isn't your typical superhero with like some crazy astronomical event that occurred to give that person powers. Also, we don't see the backstory of Spider-Man because, I mean, everyone really knows the backstory. He gets bit by the radioactive spider. That's all the same. This just starts before he is working at the Daily Bugle. And the sort of timelines we've seen from the Spider-Mans of the past sort of are different from this, because obviously with this we have Avenger intervention within this timeline. Will he join the Avengers? We don't know. Vulture is a character who was working in cleanup efforts from the Avengers mishap in New York City. So clearly this movie takes place shortly after that. He actually talks, oh yeah, that was the other thing. There is a very big coincidence, a big, sort of Hollywood coincidences. However, that will reveal a spoiler, so I will leave that for the spoiler section. Yeah, so we really see the Spider-Man character, or Peter Parker, really grow as a person. He starts to understand sort of consequences to his actions. He starts to fully understand what he should be doing as a superhero and what is a bit beyond his understanding at the moment. Sort of like studying in school, where you sort of everyone sort of knows fundamentals, and then you need to continue studying and understanding and researching and applying to understand all of the ins and outs. And he makes mistakes, and also Tony Stark makes mistakes, and they both grow from it. They both see each other's mistakes and sort of understand how to become a better mentor-mentee relationship throughout that. There's some interesting new technologies that we see in the universe. The arms and the weapons, predominantly, we sort of have seen them before technically, but now we're getting a better idea of instruments that they're using and the technologies behind them. They did a lot to explain technologies, which I really liked, being an engineer. I don't know the name of the alien rock. I have forgotten what it was. It starts with a V, I'm pretty sure. But basically, this rock will explode under radiation. It's used in the weaponry being created by the Vulture, who looks very similar to Bird Person Man from Rick and Morty. This Spider-Man is bundled with lots of Stark technology. He has the same AI as the Iron Man suits. The usage of weaponry can be commanded by voice, heads-up display. Everything you see in the Iron Man suit is in this Spider-Man suit as well. It even has a sort of vacuum seal to tighten up on his body, sort of resembling what reminded me of the self-lacing Nike shoes from Back to the Future. There was at one point when Tony Stark explains that if Peter Parker is nothing without the suit, then he shouldn't deserve the suit. And beyond that point, the remainder of the story is pretty much Peter Parker being able to find who he is without the suit, what he really wants to do, if he wants to remain as a sort of loser boy in school, or if he wants to become a big shot superhero, that sort of thing. Of course, he has a sidekick, Ned, who's the sort of behind-the-scenes guy at the computers, and they actually reference sort of superhero cliche in regarding that. We see a lot of Captain America in a very comedic way. At this point, he's sort of like America's toy rather than more of a superhero. I believe it is now time for these spoilers. Let's begin. So, Peter Parker does not like MJ. In fact, we sort of see the backstory of MJ in this movie. She's a bit of a loser, like Peter Parker and the rest of the gang. She does not have any friends, and she makes friends along the way. We do see that she does have a crush on Peter Parker. However, Peter Parker does not yet have a crush on her. He instead likes Liz, who is a senior in high school, and this is the big Hollywood coincidence that was sort of cliche. The Vulture is Liz's father, and Liz's father very quickly realizes that on the way to driving Peter and Liz to homecoming, because Peter went to Liz's house, which was the second time he had visited Liz's house. And then as Liz was talking about Spider-Man in the car, the Vulture very quickly recognizes that Peter Parker, he recognizes Peter Parker's voice, and then he puts the connections together, and he actually lets Peter live in exchange for not interfering with any of his business in the future. Peter leaves his phone in the car, goes to the dance with Liz, and then inevitably leaves the dance. And he does not at this point have his Spider-Man suit, but rather his sort of hoodie makeshift suit that he had created himself. And that is sort of where I thought that the without the suit, I'm nothing. He still is Spider-Man without his suit, given he has his made makeshift suit, and it's a lot more difficult for him to fight. But he still he chose to sort of protect more generally and also prove Tony Stark wrong rather than to allow crime and everything else to happen. The post-credits scene number, I know this might be a little bit sporadic, I do apologize. I just wanted to get this written up quickly, or made quickly to get it out. If I do movie reviews in the future, I'll probably list things down. But we see a lot of Captain America. In the school, there's a lot of don't care type of attitude amongst the staff members, which is very similar to a typical high school. At the very, very end, right at the last seconds of the movie, Aunt May realizes Peter Parker is Spider-Man and freaks out. It's really funny. Then it rolls credits, and we see the first post-credits scene. The first post-credits scene is of the Vulture in jail. He meets someone else who has people on the outside, and they are also after Spider-Man. The Vulture, they also understand that the Vulture knows Spider-Man personally, and so they are sort of clashing with the Vulture. However, the Vulture does say that he does not know Spider-Man, else he would have killed him already. However, there is a sort of worried look in his eyes and his facial expressions, which may give away that he does actually know Spider-Man. So in the second movie, we will most definitely see the Vulture and these other new people escaping jail. So what was really significant about this movie that very much deviated from typical superhero movies is that instead of killing off the villain, Peter actually goes ahead and saves Liz's father, the Vulture, and turns him in, which sort of ends up affecting Peter a lot more negatively than he probably imagined, as Liz is moving away. She claims temporarily, but I feel like it's maybe the last time we see her in a major role. She may play a cameo or something like that in the second movie, but I don't expect to see her much after this movie. At this point, we know that MJ, which reveals herself to be called MJ towards the end of the movie, and so I feel like it's going to be more based around her being involved in Peter's life. Toombs, that is the Vulture's person name. Toombs denies he knows Spider-Man. The Scorpion, that is the guy that he sees in jail. The Scorpion. So we are going to be seeing the Scorpion and the Vulture together and probably clashing in the future. I feel like the Vulture may sort of switch sides and attempt to save Spider-Man, but we're going to have to see how that happens. Probably not. Also, the biggest reveal of the movie is that after all of Spider-Man's wanting to be a part of the Avengers team, they sort of went with the closing like Iron Man 3 had, a win-win situation where he is part of the Avengers team, however, he's still living at home, not with the Avengers, so we are not going to be seeing him. So we aren't going to see Spider-Man in any major Avengers events. If there's probably another Avengers movie, we will see him in that. However, he wanted to be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man because he understands as a person that he has family and friends back at home, which is a huge difference in regards to superhero movies. Most superheroes we know are alone or act individually, don't really mind consequences and things like that, whereas Peter has significantly grown as a person and very fully understands a lot of these things. He is maturing, and he actually was not only able to sort of understand that himself, but even was able to get that through to Tony Stark. So I think Tony Stark is going to be a lot better of a mentor. I think they're going to have a very good father-son type of relationship in future movies. What it does set up is that Gregan as a villain for the sequel, because he's hellbent on getting revenge. Yeah, we know that. But overall, great movie. I'm very excited to see how this series goes. I do really want to see Spider-Man with the Avengers in the future. Maybe after he graduates high school or something of that nature. Captain America's role was definitely funny. He even comes back at the post-credit scene. If that spoiled it for you guys, I'm sorry, but it was a comedic scene, not really having much meaning to it. Also, in the credits, they mentioned Star Wars merchandise and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, so keep an eye out for those. I believe one of Peter Parker's shirts made references. Also, back out of the spoilers, we do see a lot of references to previous Avengers things, especially the Battle of New York City, the Sokovia Accords, in history class. Actually, this wasn't the first time we saw Star Wars in Spider-Man, as he made a really big reference to the AT-ATs on Hoth. So Tom Holland definitely played an excellent Peter Parker. We didn't see Uncle Ben. I mean, that was more backstory. So I don't think we're going to be seeing Uncle Ben. I'm very happy this came out. It's very, very cool to see a good Spider-Man. Because under the Marvel Studio. Oh yeah, Stan Lee, that's what I wanted to talk about. The Stan Lee cameo came surprisingly early in this movie, actually. I would have liked to see a little bit of a better cameo, but it was very funny. Pretty typical of an old man like Stan. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed. I know it's probably rough a lot around the edges, but I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys got some information out of it. If you haven't seen it already, please go ahead and see it. It's a great movie. Again, 4 out of 5. In the 90s on Rotten Tomatoes. Did very well. Don't have to see it in IMAX 3D, but I definitely would recommend seeing it in IMAX. I think this new storyline for Spider-Man in the cinematic universe will be very neat. It's got a lot of potential, and I really want to see where it goes, and I am definitely going to be following it closely. So with that, feel free to check out other videos on my channel. I have vlogs up. I also make some music mixes. Just recently released one for 4th of July. So if you're still in the spirit for that, feel free to check that out. Maybe I will make some more videos like this. If you do want to see more, feel free to just let me know. Oh yeah, also real quick, I just wanted to mention that Peter Parker even goes through some emotional sort of decisions in his life where he has to decide if he tells Liz if he wants to tell her about Spider-Man or if he wants to keep it a secret and not impress her by what he is but rather by who he is, which does pay off in the end, which really goes to show that it doesn't matter, or it shouldn't matter what you are, but to get real love, it's really about who you are on the inside, what you're passionate about, your characteristics, things like that. Being yourself, especially, that is a theme here in the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. I do want to make a correction. We don't see Mary Jane as Mary Jane. We see her as someone else with an M name. And a little bit disappointing, I really wanted to see the Spider-Man logo used more, but we don't really see it used in this movie except for one shot, which is even shown in the trailer. So a bit disappointing on that part. Thanks for watching, guys.